Welcome back to the Just Fantasy Baseball podcast. Something looks different. What is it? Well, we're doing a special episode today, Vince and I, because we're constantly innovating and coming up with new fun ideas for our audience. Shout out us for doing this. It was an idea that we kind of just threw out and then we decided to make a reality. We are going to have a best ball draft. There's about, 5-6 weeks left in the season. And we wanted to do a draft, Vince and I, with who the best remaining players are. Instead of just telling you, oh, these are the best remaining players that you should be focusing on for the rest of the year, we're going to add a little competition to it. Vince and I are going to draft against each other. And, obviously, based on this draft, we're going to find out who the best available players, I guess, are. And then we'll see one of us is going to win, although there's a chance we tie because it's 10 categories, 5x5. So there's a chance we tie. But Vince, I'm excited for this. So before, I want you to explain the draft, explain, the rules of the league and all that and what's going to be happening between the two of us. But before we do that, we have some headlines. Elias Diaz, one of the guys we talked about, catcher position, cut. Who do you think is going to pick him up? Because I think a playoff team could use him at this point in the season. DH, catcher.
Yeah, that's I was just trying to think of who could pick him up, but I mean, certainly he's a target for a playoff team. I think you mentioned Seattle in one of your tweets. I thought that was a good call out. It's got to be a playoff team. I don't know who else. Didn't know if you
Yeah, I
had
love
any.
Seattle. I mean, maybe even the Mets with how much JZ Martinez and also Francisco Alvarez have both been struggling so much. Maybe they're looking at a DH catcher situation there. I don't know. I know they have both of those guys. You don't want to take either of those guys out of the lineup, but they've both been struggling mightily as the Mets drop 2 or 3 to the A's.
Yeah, and it could be. I mean, I'm again struggling. I'm just thinking like
I know
backups
Cal's been
too. I mean,
hitting lately
depth. I was
too.
thinking. I'm sorry.
Cal Raleigh has been hitting lately too, so that's
Right,
another.
right. And I mean, I thought Kansas City too. I forget who their backup is. That's what I was trying to think of. But like if you have an older guy like Salvador Perez, who, maybe you just want some extra days off down the stretch for him, and he's gonna.
Yep. Aaron Judge hit his 300th career home run. He becomes the fastest player in Major League history to hit 300 home runs. 400 at-bats faster than the next fastest. 130 games faster than the next fastest. Is this the greatest hitter we've ever seen?
Yankee bias?
I don't even think it is. I mean, he's batting 333. He's going to win the Triple Crown maybe. If, I know Bobby Witt just hit another crazy home run tonight on a pitch that was, letter high. So, I mean, unbelievable stuff from Bobby, but Aaron Judge, my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a historic stretch. There's no doubt about that. It definitely is probably some of the best baseball that we've seen since Mike Trout's prime days. And I mean, it's definitely something special. And I mean, there's other guys who are having special seasons too that I'm excited to talk about a little
How
bit.
about
Juan Soto,
Ohtani?
one of them, Ohtani.
Ohtani's the first 35-35 guy on the Dodgers since Matt Kemp did it. Unbelievable that he has 35 plus steals to me.
Yeah, and right. I even remember when we talked about it. Was it 2 weeks ago when I told you how many stolen
I didn't
bases?
realize he
You're
had that
like,
many
what?
steals.
Really?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
God. Unreal. Okay, so are there any other headlines we're missing? I know Jazz Chisholm Jr. got hurt. He's going to be out at least 4 weeks, but could end up needing season-ending surgery. So that's tough because he was playing so well for the Yankees. He was one of those guys that we talked about on the trade episode, change of scenery type guy that was really working out for him. So it sucks to see that happen. When we get into the pitchers in the draft, and I don't know if we'll get deep down on the board enough to get to this guy. But Carlos Rodon, to me, is so interesting. He's been pitching so well. Do you trust Carlos Rodon if you're a fantasy owner? We know he's been great at times. Do you trust him?
I would
And
say
I'm
he's
sorry,
one of those.
all the headlines off the top of my head are Yankee headlines. Sorry, that's what I'm so entrenched in.
We can close it off too. I do have a couple that I had thought of that are a little more positive and not so negative. But I would think Carlos is like maybe an 80-20 guy, which is he's probably starting against 80% of the teams. But if he's playing maybe like a red hot Orioles team or A team that just is raking right now, maybe I'd hold off. Maybe an unfavorable park to pitch in or something like that. But you're probably starting him more times than not, maybe 75%, 80% of the time. So
All
yeah, I
right.
think Carlos Rodon has definitely earned a little bit of trust in the back half of the season.
Okay, so what were your other two headlines? And then you can explain what we're doing, the categories, and how we're going to be doing this draft.
Yeah, just a couple guys coming back. Michael Harris, I don't know if you saw, he returned yesterday and
Hmm.
grand salami. Good for him. We love to see it. And another
Dude, doesn't it
one
feel like the
that
Braves with Philly struggling a little bit? The Braves are just going to overtake them and win that division.
does a little bit, yeah. Like they've been waiting. It feels like the Braves are dormant right now. Like they have, they
Waiting
have
in the
it.
balance.
Yes, yes. And once the playoffs come, it's gonna be like, oh, that's where it's been all year.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of like Kamala Harris was just sitting there waiting for Joe Biden to eventually veg out.
you
Just
know.
kidding. Continue.
The last guy that I could think of that's on quite a few of my teams, and that's why I'm thinking about him, is Casas. Tristan Casas is looking good in his rehab starts. So keep an eye out for him. He could be a game changer down the stretch. Maybe he was dropped or, whatever the case is, you can poach him from another guy. Definitely look to add Tristan Casas.
And then
So,
also,
mhm.
I who was it? It was Ahmed Rosario who we talked about. We're like, oh, we don't know. His value is going down because he's traded. He's going to get less playing time now. And then he gets cut altogether. But there's got to be a team out there, maybe even the Yankees with the Jazz injury. Like, you want a utility infielder? I don't know if it changes unless he's getting a starting shortstop or second base job. I don't know if it changes his value, but he's another guy who could really help a playoff team, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The Dodgers are a good one. Um, I was thinking though, when you said the Yankees, I was like, maybe is this Jason's time to come up?
He's not going to get called up
No,
until
I haven't
September
seen it.
because they don't
Okay,
they don't want to start his clock. That's the Yankee way. They're not
sure.
going to start his clock. It sucks. I think September jump all over him, get him up because Verdugo's been awful. I think Jason takes that time immediately and gets those at bats in September. But I've been watching this team long enough to know all they care about is years of control. And you know what? I work with a guy, Chris McMonagle, who hosts the overnights on WFAN. He's a huge Yankee fan. He's also a very pragmatic Yankee fan. He's not one of these flip floppers who get overly emotional one way or another. And he makes a good point. He says, look, if the Yankees are serious about signing Juan Soto long term, they have to get contributions from guys and have them under team control for a long time. So it's not the worst idea in the world for the Yankees. Would you rather an extra, what is it going to be now? 2.5 weeks of Jason Dominguez in 2024? Or would you rather have Juan Soto and then have the extra year of control with Jason Dominguez on the same team? Like, it's not the worst logic in the world for the Yankees. So Yankee fans can yell and scream, oh, this is ridiculous. We need to be all in right now with Juan Soto for this 1 year. Well, no, I think the Yankees are trying to keep Juan Soto long term. And I don't know if they will keep him ultimately, but their best chance of doing that is having guys who are young and controllable. A guy like Austin Wells, who's been excellent since being put into the cleanup spot. A guy like Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones, Anthony Volpe, young, cheap, controllable guys playing well for them in the next 5-10 years so that they can keep Juan Soto and still have a relatively somewhat normal payroll because he's not going to give them the Otani deferred payment option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buy now, pay later, like the Dodgers did with Otani. That's not going to happen with Juan Soto. So I think you have to be very reliant on your young players.
And I will say he looks better in a Yankee uniform than I thought. I had anticipated when he went to the Yankees that it would fit, but I didn't think it feels like it fits like a glove. And
Juan Soto could be MVP if he wasn't on or in the conversation, at least if he wasn't on the same team as Aaron Judge. That's how incredible he's been this year.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right about that long-term plan. I mean, I do think he's gonna at least listen, but I would be surprised if the Yankees weren't front runners. I
All
will say
right.
that.
So tell us about this draft. I'm heading over to the link over there so that we can kick it off in
Sure.
a second. But tell me what I'm in for right now.
Well, first, I will tell you because we also didn't talk about this part. Junior Caminero got called up, so that is super exciting stuff. And Kobe Mayo sent back down. Just a roller coaster over there in
Oh
Baltimore.
my God, Baltimore. What are they doing? And this is a team we trust. This is a
Yeah,
team we
right.
like.
So this draft that Rami and I will be doing is a best ball draft, but it is a roto style best ball draft. So there will be 10 categories. And I have them. Oh, I forgot you are sharing the screen. Where are they though? I
Do
was
you
going to
want
read
me
them
to?
off a list, but
I have the
they
list
are
you sent me. Do you want me to?
runs. No, I can do it by memory. I was just looking for it. Runs, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, and OPS for offensive categories. And pitching categories is quality starts, strikeouts, ERA, whip, and saves. We will get 15 total spots, 5 pitchers and 10 hitters, one at each infield position, 3 outfielders, and 2 utility spots. So I think that's everything that we need to know, right? So rotisserie style scoring, whoever wins the most categories by the end of the season will win. And I can start at any time. So anything
Yep.
else you
Vince
think
gave
I'm
himself
missing?
the first overall pick.
It was
Um,
randomized. Can I re-randomize it? Maybe not since
no,
we
no, no, it's
technically already
fine.
started.
I had no. I assume it was randomized. I just wanted to make
I
that
think it was
joke.
supposed to be. That is.
All
All
right. So
right.
yeah, I'd say kick it off, and I'm curious to see where you go. So we'll talk it through as we go. We'll talk about it, our strategies and now our strategies might be different for this type of league where it's best ball. We have a month left. Like, hey, we need to lock in who's going to win. Maybe we'll put a little something on the line. I don't know. We could do a bet where
Will
someone has
do.
to do something stupid on a podcast, on an episode. You have to go to a Cubs game dressed as something. I have to go and film it for the social medias, or I have to go to a Yankee game. Well, I can't go to a Yankee game dressed as something. I'm an employee, but I could go to a Mets game. um, uh,
We could come up with that. I don't.
yeah, we'll
We
come up
didn't
with
think of
some
that.
sort of
We'll
punishment
think of that.
maybe before next episode because we don't want it to get too late. I don't want to look at
Right.
my team and be like, "Oh my god, my team's terrible." All right, so let's and then we'll also talk about where these players are compared to where maybe we would have drafted them, you know, to start the season. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna is not going to be 1-1, I don't assume. So, uh
Potentially.
yeah. All right, so go ahead and kick us off.
So let me press resume here. I will say, it's tough to pick in a spot like this where there are so many different ways to go. My thought process, though, is I mean, the best hitter score wise, or just looking at the top, is Jose Ramirez, Bobby
Mhm.
Witt Jr., Francisco Lindor, Aaron Judge. Those are the top offensive guys, Gunnar Henderson. And so my thought is okay, which position is going to be the biggest gap? And outfield to me, just because you have 3 spots to fill, I always kind of consider this when drafting. I try to build a strong outfield because with that many spots, especially if there were pickups throughout the season and stuff, I don't want to be cycling through every single outfield spot. And maybe I'll take a little bit of injury risk here, but I am going to take it from you. I will take Aaron Judge 1-1 overall.
If you didn't, I would have.
I
So
figured, I knew. So now I'm curious to see where you go. Ball's in your court.
where I'm gonna go because he's been so stupid good, and I think despite and I have 2 picks here, so I really get 2 players, and I don't want to give back someone. I don't want to give Jose Ramirez back to you, but I think it's so stupid with how good these 2 guys have been, um, to not just draft them and just assume everything else will work itself out. Uh, and that is going to be Mr. Bobby Witt Jr. Um, and the other one I'm going to go with, and I don't see him on this list. I'll have to search him because I don't even see him coming up.
What are you looking for? Aaron Judge? I
I'm
already
looking
did.
for Shohei Otani.
Oh, well, maybe he's not showing up. Yeah.
Well, if
I
neither of
wonder
us
if it's the position thing. Yeah, I don't think either of us will get Shohei then.
all right, so neither of us get
Oh,
Otani. That's who.
I was
What
supposed
was
to
that?
cut out. I cut out utility, but I didn't cut out the rounds. It should be a 13-round draft.
Okay, all right.
So because he's util only, he's not in here.
Ooh, so that's interesting. So we don't have utility players. So I would take Otani in that spot. But because he's not available, you know what? We'll go with the aforementioned Jose Ramirez. I think those two players are so good, head and shoulders above everyone else, that, despite the outfield, I'll figure out my outfield later. Those two guys are the guys I want the rest of the season.
And I think that's a great start. I mean, left side of your infield just totally locked
Dominant.
down. Yep. And dominant. Yep, absolutely. Um, I don't know how I can go anywhere else here. I'm looking at OPS. I'm looking at guys with power that get on base. And again, filling my outfield. Can't let this guy go back to you. I'm going to take Juan Soto at 2
Yeah,
2.
I would have gone for
Yep.
him
Mhm.
to, the first round also, or my second pick also. But I think Ramirez's numbers are better. And like I said, I'm not
Yep.
terribly worried about the outfield eligibility yet,
Sure.
because you only get a certain number of spots. Like, there's only so many places you can go. So as long as you don't start stealing them as the draft keeps going, I'm okay with that. You have another pick here, though. And I'm curious where you go with this, because it will dictate where I go next.
So filling spots on the other side of the baseball is just as important. I can't ignore it. I've been kind of against this guy for a long time because of his past injury history, but Tariq Skubal's got some juicy matchups coming up, and I'm going to take him in my third round because he'll play Detroit and then, or I'm sorry, the Yankees. But after that, Chicago White Sox. Um, so, I mean, Tariq Skubal's just been dominant. You're talking about 2.53 ERA, 180 strikeouts, 18 quality starts. Can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, when you look at what he can do. I think it's a good pick. There's not much else to say. It's probably the best available pick right now when you're talking about pitchers. You could build just an absolute stud rotation. I still think there's a lot of pitchers left, though.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to go a weird direction with this, because there's categories at play here. And I
Sure.
think no one's going to fill. I want an automatic win in a category. I'm going to go Emmanuel Classe.
Mm,
That gives me an automatic win in that category. You have no one who can compete with him. It's a position that's one of one. There is no second best at that position. When you talk about saves, he's going to dominate. No one else is going to dominate like Classe. And so for the value of this draft, I think it's important. And then I do think there are enough starting. I think the drop off is bigger at. I think the drop off is bigger at starting pitcher than maybe anywhere else. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take Corbin Burns.
You mentioned winning a category, and I'm so glad you didn't take this guy because I think there's an easy way that I can win a category right here with one of my favorite players, Ellie De La Cruz. I
Yeah,
can't
well, there's
lose
no
stolen
utility,
bases.
so I took Bobby Witt, so I
I
automatically
see, right.
wasn't
Yeah,
going to
you
get
couldn't
Ellie.
couldn't
Yep.
couldn't take Ellie. That's fair. Um, hmm, okay. I knew that was a pick. I didn't know right away where my fifth round was going to go, but 4-2, take Ellie at 8. Again, win stolen bases. You may have saves in the bag, which is fair, but I think I have a slight edge with runs, or I'm sorry, home runs, RBIs, runs, like slight edge because you went pitcher there.
Sorry, I
Um,
tried. There we go. I'm trying to scroll.
oh, scroll down.
Let me. There we go.
And I think I'm going to take this next guy because of how good he has been over the last, especially month. And I think the position drop off here is bigger than any other position in baseball. There's not a first baseman who's even coming close to Vlad Guerrero Jr. right now. So
Oh,
I will fill up my first base spot there as well.
I can't argue that Vlad Guerrero has been insane, and I had him in my queue as one of the best players going into this draft. The other thing that I look at right now is, all right, so you have a first baseman, you can't take one. So
Hmm.
where's a
Right.
position that you can't, you
That
know,
I can.
right, that you can still overtake
Right.
me?
Hmm.
So I go back to outfield, and people might find this to be crazy because there's some outfielders that are going to be really good the rest of the way. But the stretch this guy has been on, I don't know if anyone's going to be better than him. That's Anthony Santander. I He is that good right now. And if I could steal another position from you, who I think if there's one guy who's head and shoulders above everyone else, I think it's him. I think it's Ketel Marte.
Yeah, I think that's a good
I don't know if there's anyone at
good
second base
choice.
who you can get ahead of him, right?
No, right. I mean, next score wise is Altuve, Terang. I mean, Luis Garcia is a potential late rounder for me,
And
but
we're looking the rest of the way. He's getting
mhm.
hot. Arizona's heating up. I love that pick for me.
And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think that's good. I think that's also why I avoided third base too. You took Jose Ramirez. I think in a regular draft, I'm going to take like Gunnar Henderson before Vladdy or even Devers. Maybe not Devers. That's a toss up. But I know I'm going to get Gunnar Henderson, so I'm going to wait until the end of the draft. Right. This is where a little bit more of the strategy comes in.
Yep.
Um, and I would say that is giving up too much or giving too much away. That being said, I do want to win again with pitching. Um, and obviously, a lot can happen and change with some of these starts down the stretch. But a couple guys that I think I'm going to try to double tap here with some pitchers. And how can I ignore what Logan Gilbert has done? I'm going to take Logan Gilbert here in the 6th round. And I'm going to go again for some strikeouts, a little bit of strikeout upside. Cease has been great, but give me Cole Reagans, who's been just also dominant and hopefully will help me win another category.
I'm not going to let you run away with all the best pitchers. So give me Zach Wheeler and then one more guy that maybe you're not thinking of because he doesn't have the best score right now. But the rest of the way, easy schedule. He looks like himself after his last start. Garrett Cole's going to be awesome the rest of the way. I mean, it's going to this is easy money for me. And let me scroll down so people can see those two picks right there. Zach Wheeler and Garrett Cole, baby. I love my pitching right now. If you go through this right now, Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, and Garrett Cole with Emmanuel Clase. Like, if this was a playoff team, like, you're screwed. Sorry, you're not getting any hits.
And we have 2 pitchers left. You have 1 pitcher left. Or no, yeah, I'm sorry. And I was just thinking, I don't know if I'm going to even compete for saves.
Saves,
Maybe
right? So you might
maybe
not
I
take a
just
closer,
let
which is
you.
why I
I
did
don't
that,
think I will.
which is
Yeah.
why I took Class A, because you may beat me in strikeouts now. You may not. But I have a category locked up. Now all I got to do is win 5 categories. I just shortened the game. You know how they say you should. I just changed it.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes one injury to one of my guys and that could be all she wrote for quality starts or something like that.
Dude, I mean, I changed the entire draft
Mhm.
with that pick. And that's why in any normal draft, that's a reach, that's early. I get it. This is not a normal draft. I changed the league. I changed the game with that one pick.
Well, then maybe I will really try to go for that because I'm trying to like we have both shortstops. You can't take another shortstop. I know who I'm getting at third base. I'm gonna have to find a second baseman, but I may as well wait because I think I mean, I feel like I need to go for pitching right now. I don't think that that's something I can ignore. I need to win quality starts, strikeouts, and still have good ERA and WHIP. That being said, I will take Luis Castillo for this 8th round, hoping to win again. Like I said, quality starts and strikeouts. There's a lot of different ways that it can go
And now, is that all
after
your
this.
pitchers?
No, I have 1 pitcher left.
Got it. Okay.
So I think the drop off after Castillo is, there's a tier. There's another tier, right? We talked about tiers in the
Oh, for sure.
first part of the season, especially during draft season.
Yeah.
And so I think the tier drop off after Luis Castillo is pretty large. So I think I will then return to the hitting side of things. Again, I know who my third baseman is. Second base, I probably know who I'm going to take, but I'll wait. I may as well try to fill up my last outfield spot. And I know this guy says my final outfield spot, because again, I think there's another tier drop off. This guy says some bad things, but he is a damn good baseball player, Jaron Duran. I will fill up that last outfield spot and take Duran in ninth.
So basically, what you're saying is you have no social awareness. That's fine. That's fine. I'm trying to, every time I close the tab, it kind of screws a little bit with this.
Sure, sure. See, I told you it was a little
but,
funky, wasn't it?
yeah, it's a little
It is a
funky,
little
but I'm
weird.
trying to make it the best experience for the viewers. I hope that you see the team. So if we just scroll up, he took Duran. So is that your last outfielder?
That is. So outfield is all yours for the picking.
Well, I know who my next two outfielders are going to be, so I'm going to wait a little bit.
Sure.
So you have a first baseman already, right?
I do.
So the only position left is pitcher that we're competing with each other.
Right.
Is pitcher and catcher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I think catcher is so volatile that there's not really. Oh, but pitcher too. Wow, this is tough because I don't want to let you get this guy because I know that like we'd have to take a break. You'd have to go to the bathroom and be like a whole thing if you drafted this guy because of how obsessed you are with him. But I don't want to draft him.
Royce Lewis.
No, I was talking about. I'm gonna let you draft him anyway. Screw it. I'm gonna let you draft him. I'm gonna have to deal with the consequences. I'm going to go with Dylan Cease because the strikeout numbers, I'm gonna have a lot of strikeouts to make up. So I need those strikeout numbers to come back to me. And then, oh wait, I could go catcher too, although there's no catcher. So I'm gonna draft based on. So here's the problem. Let's do this. I'm going to take a guy in an offense. Actually, there's some things at play here with catcher. I'm going to let you take the catcher. I don't care.
Okay.
Let's go. And I think this is a league changer. You're not going to like this. Let's go. Where is he? Let's go in my queue because he's in my queue. I'm going to go with Corbin Carroll.
I get it. I do. Yeah, again, outfield's tough. I think Jazz does kind of drop it off a little bit, right? I mean, could call a guy like Kyle Schwarber. Jurickson Profar has been great, but there is a tier drop off, I think, at least with upside. I also
my
say
team
too,
is upside central, baby.
There is a guy though I think I would have taken maybe over Carroll. I don't know. We can talk.
Well,
about
I still have one more outfielder,
right? So I'm not going to say him. So maybe you don't. Maybe you haven't thought about.
Well, there's someone that I mean, I know my next outfielder. Put it this way.
Okay. All right. I may as well take a pitcher because I may as well get my guy, and I may as well take it catcher because I think, while I think there's still tiers, and I think tier 1 is still in play. We'll start with catcher. Tier 1 is definitely still in play. I think for catcher, I think there's quite a few guys that could go number 1, but I'm gonna take William Contreras from you. I'm not gonna let you. I think he has been the hottest one, and I know he had a little bit of a slump mid-year, and he certainly could go back to that. But Contreras has just been on fire lately, and I think that slump is maybe just a little passing thing. Like I think it's one of those, just happens to everyone. I don't think it's any slight about him as a player. I still think offensively, upside wise, it's between him and Adley. And, Adley hasn't had the best year, certainly not compared to Contreras. So I will take Contreras there.
I did mess up, by the way.
How so?
Because the guy I wanted to take was Schwarber. That was
Okay.
going to be the next outfield I took, but I
Sure.
remembered Mookie. So I'm going to take Mookie, obviously.
Hey, wait, it's still my pick here, guy.
I know,
Oh,
but
okay. But I
my
can't
point
take
is
him.
now I have to
Okay.
pick between. I would have taken Mookie and Schwarber over Carroll. I just want to explain to the audience, I would have taken both over Carroll, and now I have to pick between Mookie and Schwarber.
I will say
Don't
so.
help me out.
This one's tough. So I will say for this last round of pitching, because this is my last pitcher here. With such little time left in the season, Rami, how much of a stock are you taking in injuries here? Because I'm not taking as much as I normally would.
I mean, put it this way. I took Garrett Cole, who has an injury history. You took Aaron
Sure.
Judge, who has an injury history. I think we're both kind of like, hey, if one of our guys gets hurt, we're going to have to,
Because the upside for the other team is so high no matter what. Like, you almost have to shoot for the
Yeah.
moon. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only 2 guys.
100%.
It's not like,
Yeah.
so that being said, I think I'm gonna take the person who I think is the best pitcher out there, just may not have the injury or I'm sorry, the innings buildup. That's Chris Sale. I mean,
Wow.
he has been dominant and,
So the guy that I was talking about that I thought you were for sure going to take was Seth Lugo. How do you not take Seth Lugo? That's
No,
your guy.
Lugo, and actually my guy, my second one was Pablo Lopez. I
Mm.
was kind of between him and even though Lopez hasn't really shown it. Glass now is another one that I thought of. I mean, lots of guys, but Lugo has struggled a little bit as of late. I mean, 4 innings, 7 earned in his last start. And granted, it's Minnesota. Minnesota's hot, but um, his numbers have slowly risen to his underlying stuff, and so. Um, Lugo is, I think, just coming back down to earth, and I don't want to be there for that. I'd rather be there for the last 3 weeks of Sale domination.
All right, that's fair. I get back-to-back picks here. I'm gonna go Mookie Betts. And I'm gonna go. My lineup is so interesting. I'm gonna go with This guy's sucked so much lately that it's hard for me to take him. But I think I have to go Bryce Harper. Love Bryce Harper so much. You know it. I know it.
Yeah, he's struggled a little bit too. I mean, he came around the
That's why I
last.
said he's been so
Yeah,
bad lately. I looked at Freeman. To me, Bryce Harper's still the power numbers are just there's a big drop off between Harper and Freeman. And the OPS is kind of the same. So I think Harper I think has a higher upside OPS because he gets on base a little more. So I had to go Bryce Harper there.
totally understandable. And the more I look at this, the more upset I am that I kind of let you take Ketel Marte. He should have probably been a little bit more of a priority because I look at second base and I'm just like,
It's weak.
it is very weak. But I will come back to that one because for now I have to take my third baseman, and kind of hard to, I mean, you got Gunner, you got Rafael Devers, who's been smoking hot. I could see a case for Chapman, but I'm not buying it. I think I have to take Gunnar Henderson, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
could maybe make a case for Riley too.
put it this way. Here's how I'll put it. Jose Ramirez and Anthony Santander are not as good as Soto and Gunner. I took Jose for my third base. You're going to get Gunner and Soto. I should have gone that route.
Or do I go real balls deep and take Royce Lewis?
No, you're not doing. If you do that, then that's fine. I'll be happy. But no,
Why not? I really want
take Royce
to.
Lewis. Go for it, please.
No, I want to win. We'll take Gunner.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying though, because basically, all right, whatever. Just go ahead.
So now I have to take. This is my last pick. I'll take my second baseman, who I kind of thought I knew who I was going to take, but now I'm not sure if I'm certain anymore. Beginning of the year, I feel like this is easy. I would have taken Marcus Semien here. I always valued Semien over Altuve. But Altuve's been solid. Again, another good season from him, 298. He's not spectacular, just 15 home runs, but He's been solid. And then I thought, okay, maybe I attack stolen bases again with Terang, but I kind of feel like I have that maybe locked up, but maybe not. I mean, you have Witt, Ramirez, Ketel Marte, and Corbin Carroll. Maybe I do need to attack speed again here. Um, and Terang's kind of the guy to do it with. I'm just going to take a little bit of a hit kind of everywhere else. Is speed that important? Um, Ha-Seong Kim really hasn't bounced back like I was hoping he would. And then it's just a cliff. I mean, no Ozzy Albies up there has really been killer. Um, all right, but I will shut up. I think um, I have to take Jose Altuve. I just have to. I don't know.
So here for me, I love the Cal Raleigh upside. I really do, and I know he's going to hit home runs. But the downside is he kills my OPS for my whole team,
Mhm.
and that's a scary downside because his OPS could just drop, and if he's not hitting those home runs, then he's really useless. A guy whose OPS is going to be solid no matter what is Salvi, so I'm going to go with Salvador Perez, Cal Raleigh.
Totally fair.
That'll do it for the draft. You hear the applause. I don't know if you hear it. I assume you hear it. Let me go and I will scroll through so we can get a look at that. Vince and Rami's team. Let's start with Vince's team. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Tariq Skubal, Ellie De La Cruz, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Logan Gilbert, Cole Reagans, Luis Castillo, Jaron Duran, Wilson Contreras, William, sorry, Chris Sale, Gunnar Henderson, and Jose Altuve. I mean, I think you have the better team. I do. But here's where it's different. Witt, Ramirez, and Clase, that's number one for me. Like, again, I'm going to win that category. He could get hurt tomorrow, and as long as he has one save, the category is won.
Maybe Scuba comes in for a save. We don't know.
Right.
I think we do know.
Yeah, or maybe Scooble gets shut down because they're like, all right, this season is useless. This season,
That's something I didn't think of that I maybe should have taken into a little more account.
Or maybe Sale is like, hey, we need to save him for the playoffs, those innings, right? So, but I have Burns, Wheeler, Cole, Cease. If you look at my team, one thing I want to point out about my team: Bobby Witt, playoff race; Jose Ramirez, playoff race; Class A, playoff race; Burns. I mean, they're fighting for a division. Same with Santander. Ketel Marte, they're fighting every day. Wheeler, they're fighting for the division. The Yankees and Garrett Cole. San Diego's fighting for the playoffs and Dylan Cease. Corbin Carroll, that team's hot. The Dodgers, the Phillies, and Kansas City again. I want teams who care. I want teams who are in it. I want guys who have a reason to play. So as we do this exercise, it's not just to tell you how to value, but because, of course, we only had one position. So it's not only to tell you how to value players the rest of the way. But it's also what to look at. Like, I love Ellie De La Cruz. I love Vlad Guerrero. I love Tariq Skubal. To me, those teams have nothing to play for. It's so hard for me to hitch my wagon to players on those teams. In the month of September, I want guys on teams whose games matter the rest of the way. And there's enough players out there right now in Major League Baseball because of the expanded playoffs. There's so many players on teams that matter. That's what I value more than anything. So when I went into this draft, that's what I was thinking. That was one of the things I had in mind. I thought I was going to take Juan Soto over Jose Ramirez, and I panicked. I hit Jose Ramirez. But, once you took Aaron Judge, I think, to me, Juan Soto also, what happens if he's not hitting a bunch of home runs? We know he gets hot and cold with the home runs. What if down the stretch he's not hitting home runs? What if they just keep pitching around Judge and he only gets 7 home runs the rest of the way? That's a real possibility,
Mm-hmm.
So that scares me. But with Ramirez, I think those guys are going to be awesome the rest of the way. I love my Class A pick, even at 3. I wouldn't advise it, but the point is, it's a category game.
Mm-hmm.
We got to win categories. Any last words on your draft?
Maybe not on my draft, but just in general, like the reason why an exercise like this is helpful is it just helps you understand, again, like you said, how to value players down the stretch. And maybe you're between two guys on the waiver wire, even, maybe it's not these high end guys that you're between, but, guys on the waiver wire. Okay, well, let's think about more than just the stats that we see that they've produced all year. Where are they in playing time? Where's their team in the playoff context? are they going to see playing time down the stretch? Maybe we see some younger guys bump older guys, stuff like that. And you almost throw injury history out the window. Like, the only guy that maybe I didn't want to do it, I wasn't comfortable with, was Royce Lewis, but Aaron Judge, injury guy, like you said. Chris Sale, plenty of injuries.
Yeah,
So
Cole.
you kind of, yeah,
Cole,
Cole, you kind of throw
he's
that
good
out
to
the
start,
window.
right? He had shoulder
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah.
So you need to all hands on deck. And it's one of those, sometimes you get there and a guy gets hurt, and that's your season. Obviously, you don't want to try to shoot for, obviously, you want to try to avoid that if possible. But at the same time,
This is the
let's
point of the
let's
year.
get
It's
there
time to go
first.
for
Yeah,
it.
it's time. It's time. And I think that goes for a lot of these guys too. And I think that's why I'm not scared to take Sale, because I think he wants to be in playoff form when the playoffs come. And I don't know. I don't see him taking time off for that.
So
So,
no ads or drops for us the rest of the season.
mhm,
Um, I wouldn't when I didn't once I realized Otani wasn't there, I probably would have taken Soto, and that's maybe what threw me off a little bit because Otani in that spot is like, oh my god, Otani and Witt, you know what I mean?
sure.
So a little bit of a misstep there, but other than that, I think we're again no ads or drops. We're gonna play this out, and we'll see how it goes. I think I like where I'm at with stolen bases. Jose, Witt, Betts, Carroll, they're gonna steal some bases. I like that. I like where I am with strikeouts, even with Clase, he's not gonna have the numbers as everyone else, but Wheeler, Cole, Cease, Burns, all high strikeout guys. I don't know. I'm excited to watch this play out, and we'll keep people updated on this as the season goes on.
I already have, I think, 2 home runs since we started this.
Do you actually?
Oh no, just kidding. 1 home run. Well, I got something. I'm trying to find out 6 at bats, 2 hits. Oh, that may be my score. I'm trying to figure out the score because I've never done it with just 2. I do have a home run with just 2 teams. A home run, 2 runs. I don't know if you can see the scoring.
No, I can't, but
Vince takes
I
an
think
early lead.
I have Wheeler going tonight, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I
so
took an early lead. I'm up 17-13 as of now.
all right.
But
Can't
don't
wait.
worry. You
I'm
have
not
you
worried
have
yet.
saves.
I have saves. I have an automatic category. All I have to do is go 5 and 4 in the other categories, and I win the league. Like, I don't know. Doesn't that feel like a good strategy?
I get it. I do.
And you
I
think I'm
do.
gonna lose WHIP and ERA?
Yes. I hope
You think
so.
I'm gonna lose
I
both
have
those?
to. I have no choice.
Like, even if I lose strikeouts, quality starts, I'm gonna lose. I could very likely lose both of those, right? But
Yeah, we'll see how much the
not for
one less
sure.
starter gets you. I mean, that's, 20% of my starts that you don't have. I mean,
Yep. All right. Until next time, everyone, like, subscribe, share the podcast. That'll do it for us. See ya.